The knock came at 3 a.m., 3 sharp raps that shattered the silence of Moscow's frozen night. Behind the door stood men in long coats, their breath forming clouds in the bitter cold. Another family would disappear before dawn. This was Stalin's Soviet Union, where a whisper could mean death, and loyalty meant nothing when paranoia ruled supreme. Joseph Stalin wasn't born a monster. Born Iosif Vissarionovich Jugashvili in 1878, he was the son of a cobbler in Georgia. But somewhere between his brutal childhood and his rise to power, something sinister took root. By 1924, when Lenin died, Stalin had already begun weaving a web of terror that would consume millions of innocent lives. The transformation was gradual, then sudden. Stalin eliminated his rivals, one by one. Trotsky, Bukharin, Zinoviev, each fell to his calculated brutality. But it wasn't enough to control the party. He needed to control every Soviet citizen's soul. The Great Purge of 1936 to 1938 would become his masterpiece of terror, claiming over 750,000 lives through execution alone. Picture this: you're a factory worker in Leningrad, 1937. Your neighbor mentions food shortages. The next morning, he's gone. His wife whispers his name in tears. She vanishes too. Children learn to report their parents. Husband betrays wife. Friend condemns friend. Stalin had created a nation of informants, where trust died and fear became the only constant. The methods were as cruel as they were efficient. The NKVD secret police perfected techniques that would make hardened criminals weep. Sleep deprivation, beatings, psychological torture, anything to extract confessions to crimes that never happened. Innocent people signed their own death warrants just to end the suffering, believing lies might somehow save their families. But Stalin's appetite for control knew no bounds. The Ukrainian Holodomor of 1932-1933 stands as one of history's most devastating genocides. He weaponized hunger, seizing grain from starving peasants. Mothers watched their children waste away. Entire villages became graveyards. Conservative estimates put the death toll at 3.5 million souls, exhausted by deliberate starvation. Even Stalin's inner circle lived in terror. His closest allies went to bed never knowing if they'd see morning. Lavrentiy Beria, head of the secret police, once said he felt like he was walking on a razor's edge every day. If Stalin's most trusted executioner felt unsafe, imagine the horror ordinary citizens experienced. No one was beyond his reach. No one was truly safe. The paranoia intensified with age. Stalin saw enemies everywhere in his doctors, his bodyguards, even in mirrors. He moved between different bedrooms nightly, trusting no one with his location. His daughter, Svetlana, later revealed he'd become a frightened, lonely old man who had destroyed everyone capable of genuine human connection. Power had consumed his humanity entirely. World War II offered no respite from his cruelty. While Soviet soldiers died by the millions fighting fascism, Stalin executed his own generals for cowardice. He refused prisoner exchanges, declaring captured soldiers traitors. When his own son Yakov was captured by Germans, Stalin rejected trade offers, saying, "I have no son named Yakov." Even family meant nothing to the tyrant. The numbers are staggering, almost incomprehensible. Historians estimate Stalin's regime killed between 20 to 60 million people, more than Hitler's Holocaust, more than Mao's Cultural Revolution in per capita terms. Each number represents a life cut short, a family destroyed, dreams crushed under the boot of absolute power. The Soviet Union became a graveyard disguised as a nation. What drove this monster? Some say his seminary training twisted into messianic delusion. Others point to childhood trauma, an abusive father, smallpox scars, a withered arm that bred insecurity. But perhaps the truth is simpler and more terrifying. Stalin discovered that fear was the most efficient tool of control, and he wielded it with the precision of a master craftsman. His final years were marked by increasing isolation and delusion. Stalin planned new purges, including the Doctor's Plot, a fabricated conspiracy against Jewish physicians. Only his death in March 1953 prevented another massacre. Even in death, he terrorized guards who were too afraid to enter his room when he suffered his fatal stroke, leaving him to die slowly and alone. The aftermath revealed the true scope of his evil. Khrushchev's secret speech in 1956 exposed some horrors, but many remained buried for decades. Mass graves were discovered across the Soviet Union. Survivor testimonies painted a picture of systematic cruelty that defied human understanding. Stalin had turned an entire nation into his personal chamber of horrors for nearly 3 decades. Yet perhaps most chilling is how he maintained his image. Soviet propaganda portrayed him as Uncle Joe, the wise father of the nation. Portraits hung in every home. Statues dominated city squares. Children were taught to love him more than their parents. He understood that controlling the narrative was as important as controlling bodies. Totalitarianism requires both physical and mental submission. Today, some Russians still view Stalin favorably, remembering only the victory over fascism and industrial progress. They've forgotten or chosen to forget the oceans of blood spilled to achieve it. This selective memory serves as a warning. When we fail to remember history's monsters clearly, we risk repeating their crimes. Evil often wears the mask of progress and patriotism. Stalin's legacy extends far beyond Soviet borders. His methods influenced dictators worldwide from Mao's China to Pol Pot's Cambodia. The playbook of terror he perfected continues to inspire authoritarians today. Every time a leader uses fear to silence dissent, every time paranoia becomes policy, Stalin's shadow falls across the world. His evil echoes through time. The survivors' stories haunt us still. Alexander Solzhenitsyn's Gulagi Archipelago revealed the frozen hell of Stalin's labor camps. Varlam Shalamov's Kolyma tales documented unspeakable suffering in Siberian mines. These testimonies remind us that behind every statistic was a human being who loved, hoped, and dreamed before Stalin crushed those dreams forever. Understanding Stalin matters now more than ever. In an age of rising authoritarianism, his story serves as a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked power. When we see leaders attacking free press, silencing opposition, or using fear as a political weapon, we must remember where such paths lead. The price of forgetting history is paid in human blood and broken souls. If you found this story as gripping and eye-opening as we intended, don't let the truth stop here. Subscribe to our channel for more untold stories of history's most dangerous figures. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the darkest chapters of human history. Share this video. The world needs to remember these truths. Knowledge is our greatest weapon against tyranny. Stalin died believing he was a great leader who saved his nation. History reveals him as one of humanity's greatest monsters, a paranoid tyrant who turned love into fear, trust into betrayal, and hope into despair. His story isn't just about one evil man. It's about how ordinary people become complicit in extraordinary evil when they choose silence over courage. Remember this, learn from this, never forget. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.